you know, we live in a culture that places a lot of importance on our ability to continue to push, to strive, to be somewhere other than where we are right now, because if we're where we are right now, then we're not productive, we're not producing. And it's interesting because we know that logically, right? We know that there's just not enough time, that it's not sustainable, but we do it anyways. And I was a little frustrated getting on my computer this morning. Sometimes it is so slow, but I feel calmer now. Good. Mercury stations direct today, so he's in his shadow until I think it's the second week of April. So we'll still continue to feel the effects and that need to slow down in Aries season. What? That's so uncomfortable. Yeah, and in this culture, exactly what I was talking about, this culture of productivity, this culture of getting things done, of the hustle. I go on Facebook and I have to be extremely aware and present and in my center when I go onto Facebook, because there are so many sponsored ads that I scroll by that are telling me that I need to hustle, that I need to be pulling in a 6-figure income in my coaching business and all of this stuff. And if I wasn't aware that that was a mirror of our culture, then I might get sucked into that, and I might start to feel that what I'm doing right now isn't enough. So that's what we're navigating. It's what we're navigating right now. And as above, so below, as within, so without. The universe gives us the curriculum that we need in order to move forward on our spiritual path. We don't need to spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on books and absorb all of that information and memorize all of these things. We can show up consciously. The workshops and the books, they might help us learn how to show up consciously. However, at some point, we don't need to do that any longer. We just show up to what life is handing us, and we use those tools that we've gained along the way in order to navigate. Mercury retrograde is a time to slow down, to revise, to review, to revisit where we have been. Depending on where Mercury is in your chart, that shows you where the action is taking place during this Mercury retrograde. So, for instance, it's happening in Pisces. So if you know what house Pisces is in your birth chart, you can kind of figure that out. Mine is in my 11th house, which is around community and connections, and that's it's where I'm actually doing some revision, doing some revising. I started teaching online. I'm not teaching in the studio any longer. So these are things that it's very relevant in my life, and we're reviewing and revising on a bigger picture as well as a collective when we think about what's going on politically, what's going on in the news. It can get really easy to polarize into what we think is right, what we think is wrong, what we think is best for what's going on, for the future, for going forward. And we're realizing that it's the way that we've been doing things. It's like I get this image of tires spinning in the mud, like tractor tires spinning in the mud, unable to gain traction because they're the same repetitive motion. It keeps happening. We keep just trying to barrel through, right? We just keep trying to push through our agenda, our ideas, our beliefs, our old dreams that maybe aren't even ours to begin with. We're watching this entire dance occurring, and this need to slow down, to take a bigger perspective, to take a pull back, take this bird's eye perspective and see what is really necessary, what is really needed. Do we really need to get to where we think we should be? Or are we okay with where we are right now? And if we're not, what can we do in order for that to be so? So that's a little bit of the energy that we're dealing with, and I find it so interesting because both Mark and Anne are speaking to it this morning. This in between, this liminal space, this desire to push forward, yet there's still a need to be right here and see what's going on in the moment.